Hi, my name is Charles Dahlquist, and I'm the chair of the BSA National Task Force for the Retention of Units and Youth in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, which in this video will normally be referred to as the church. Scouts and units will be referred to simply as Latter-day Saint Scouts or Latter-day Saint units. With me today are Mark Francis, BSA's Director of Latter-day Saint Relationships, and his wife Nettie. Mark's a professional scouter and has been a scout executive and former director of the Latter-day Saint Leaders Week at Philmont Scout Ranch for many years. Both Mark and Nettie are devoted scouting volunteers, and probably as important, if not more so, they're the parents of 10 children, including 5 boys, of which 2 are Eagle Scouts. The others, I think I'm safe to say, will be Eagles in the near future. Mark and Nettie, welcome. Nice to have you here. As most of you already know, in May 2018, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints announced that because of the desire to meet the needs of its youth across the world, it was developing a worldwide program for children and youth, and that beginning on January 1st, 2020, the church would cease being a charter partner with the Boy Scouts of America. Since that announcement, there have been many inquiries to the BSA National Service Center, as well as to councils across the country, indicating some confusion as to the future of scouting for those who desire to continue their scouting adventure after January 1st, 2020. The purpose of this video is to help local Latter-day Saint scouting leaders, parents, and scouts understand the options available to them now, during the remaining charter partner period, as well as after January 1st, 2020. The church and the BSA have been working on a transition and retention guideline document for many months to clarify those options. That document was released by the BSA in December of last year to all councils across the country. In just a few minutes, we'll take some time to understand the key elements of that document. But first, it will be helpful to highlight a couple of important points in the joint statement from the church and the BSA dated May 8th, 2018. Mark, would you take just a few minutes and walk us through those?
Yes, thanks, Charles. I'd be glad to. Well, the document was designed to be a joint statement of the BSA and the church regarding the discontinuation of the partnership agreement beginning in 2020. It also gave some important guidelines with regard to the transition period, including effective December 31st, 2019, the church will conclude its charter partnership relationship with all scouting programs around the world. Second, until that date, the church will remain a fully engaged partner in scouting.
Mark, let's stop right there. What does it mean to be a fully engaged charter partner during this period?
Well, Charles, during the transition period, the church encourages all youth, families, and leaders to continue their active participation in the programs of scouting, including character development activities, advancement, weekly scouting meetings, and summer camps. And the fourth point, during the transition, the church also encourages all youth, families, and leaders to continue their active financial support of scouting.
Thanks, Mark. That's certainly helpful, at least to me. I'm very excited about the opportunities for growth and change, both for the church and for families and scouts in the BSA. For the BSA, this period is really a time to focus on retention of youth who want to continue their scouting adventure and to improve that experience. Nettie is a mother of 10 children. I can imagine that you had some mixed feelings as you heard this announcement and contemplated the potential impact.
We really did. We were concerned when we heard the announcement because we have a long legacy of scouting, and it has been a tremendous blessing for our older children. They've thoroughly benefited from the activities of scouting, from the leadership opportunities, and from the outdoor experiences that they've had, and we definitely wanted that for our younger children. And so we were hopeful that this wasn't the end of scouting.
Good, and it won't be for the Francis family.
Right.
And for thousands of others across the church. With these exact concerns in mind, several months ago, the BSA and the church began work on a document entitled Transition Guidelines to help strengthen the program during this transition period. And in addition, during that period, begin taking certain steps to ensure that those Latter-day Saint young men who desired to continue their scouting adventure would be able to do so, either by joining a newly organized or previously existing unit in this area. Now, Mark, you were intimately involved in the development of these guidelines. There's a lot of important information in this one-page document for all leaders, families, and scouts currently in Latter-day Saint-sponsored units, and especially for those who wish to continue their experience in scouting after December 31st, 2019. Would you take just a few minutes to highlight some of the most important points for us?
Sure, Charles, thanks. And while I'll be talking about the transition guidelines and timeline document, you can get a copy at ldsbsa.org. So let's turn to the document itself. I think one of the most important statements in the transition document is that the responsibility for organizing new units, inviting leaders to serve in these new units, and inviting Latter-day Saint youth into these units lies with the BSA. That means both professionals and volunteers. And it's up to you and me to make sure we have sufficient units available, with trained leaders, to ensure that all the youth currently registered in Latter-day Saint scouting units will have the opportunity to continue their scouting experience if they desire. That includes evaluating the number of units needed, both Cub Scout packs, Boy Scout troops, and venturing crews. Engaging new charter partners and locations for scouting meetings. Recruiting and training unit leaders, committee members, and charter partner organization representatives, and registering new units. In order to register these new units, we have to recruit and multiple register 5 youth for each unit.
Now, Mark, let me just ask you a question about that because some may have a question. So, in the initial period before January 1, this is an exception, isn't it, to the fact that we're not going to actively recruit young men for units until after January or June 1. Is that correct?
Yes, these youth will be multiple registered until January 1st of 2020 and will be encouraged to remain active in their local Latter-day Saint scouting unit until that date. In a word, this is a very exciting time for all Scouters as we plan and organize a foundation for the units that will allow our Scouts now in Latter-day Saint units to continue their scouting adventure without any break or interruption in their fun, advancement, or character development. But we must act now. While this unit development phase has already begun, starting June 1st, 2019, the BSA will begin open recruitment of youth and parents for these units. That will include personal visits to families, working through community organizations, visits to local schools, and mail and social media invitations to all youth currently registered in Latter-day Saint units.
Thanks, Mark and Nettie. That is really helpful. Hopefully the guidelines will help our scouting professionals, volunteers, and scouting families better understand the options available to them and what needs to happen now in order to be prepared to help our youth continue their scouting experience after January 1st, 2020. We hope this video helps you understand the options available for scouting families now and after January 1st, 2020, and help scouting leaders realize the importance of acting now to identify and secure new charter partners and meeting locations, begin recruiting and training leaders for those units, and registering new units. In a subsequent video, Mark and Nettie will explain how they have gone about organizing a pack and a troop in their neighborhood. We hope you will join us.